A similar trope is utilized in this scene from Coal Miner's Daughter. The Loretta Lynn character played by Sissy Spacek is about to begin her first recording session in a small independent studio. Accompanied by unfamiliar musicians, she meekly looks through the control room window, her guitar out of tune. Intimidated by the studio environment, she misses her cue.
That's all right, don't worry about it, we got a lot of tape.
While the Loretta Lynn character is willing to accept defeat, telling the musicians, well, I guess we'll be going now, her husband has a solution to her problem. Bringing their assorted children into the recording area, he tells her to sing to the babies, just like you do at home, essentially transforming the recording studio into a simulacrum of their living room. Tellingly, such a transformation requires the elimination of the control room divide, with the artist turning her back to the participants behind the control room window. Addressing a more welcoming audience, her performance is similarly transformed, and she sings with assurance, her guitar suddenly in tune. Like the Elvis character in Jailhouse Rock, an internal shift from being observed to demonstrably performing transforms the character from ordinary into star. And this transformation is again validated by the engineer.
I mean more better. That little lady sings her hind end off.
Other films combine the moment of artistic transformation with a recasting of control room inhabitants as audience members. The control room glass panopticon dissolves, replaced by the frame of a widescreen movie projection. In many cases, this shift is depicted subtly, with eyes in rapt attention or closed in contemplation, bodies moving in time to the music, with affirming shakes of the head to indicate the value of the performance. In these moments, a shift in studio hierarchy takes place, with control room inhabitants becoming passive receptors of the action. Taken to an extreme, the control room inhabitants may even become performers for the benefit of the musician in front of the microphone, physically willing a more exciting performance into being. In other films, technology itself becomes a dramatic character. With quick cutaways, recording technology underscores the tension in the narrative, the metal teeth of the tape transport system, the moving faders on the console violently snapping to attention. The focus on technology is also a conscious attempt on the part of the filmmakers to authenticate the setting. As in an actual session, the engineer is quick to hit the locate button every time the tape machine is stopped. The technology is all correct, with the 2-inch analog tape machine and the SSL mixing console reflecting the technology of choice for late 80s hair metal. The scene contains all of the tropes we have previously encountered: artist triumphing over adversity, control room as panopticon, and the transformation of control room inhabitants from critical judges to appreciative audience. In this scene, the Mark Wahlberg character undergoes an audition to replace the singer of an established band. Following the standard trope, he misses his cue, then makes a feeble false start before finally finding himself and becoming the rock star of the film's title. The film emphasizes the studio hierarchy that has both shaped and been shaped by recording studio design. An entire cast of characters sit in judgment of the performer, safely behind the glass, while the Mark Wahlberg character sweats out the audition. The scene is designed to mark his character's entrance into the realm of the professional big time. As with Elvis in Jailhouse Rock, the performer enacts this transformation physically. As his vocal moves from croon to scream, he treats the microphone as performance prop, recasting the isolation booth as a performing stage. This stylized physicality is somewhat outside the realm of recording studio practice, slightly exaggerated for the camera and the film audience. But as the scene progresses, a tension common to many actual recording sessions is revealed that, while played for dramatic effect, demonstrates an aspect of recording practice rarely addressed by documentary films: the dislocation imposed by headphones and isolation booths. When the band member behind the glass cues the engineer to stop the tape, the performer is taunted by the visual awareness of conversations taking place that he is not allowed to hear. Just as a control room window can establish a panopticon, the inability to hear what is clearly taking place is another form of control exerted by technicians over musicians, in essence a panauralcon. This anxiety is visible on the performer's face while the soundtrack is notably muted, placing the film audience in the same position as the performer. In this way, the power of the panauralcon is experienced by the audience, communicating a real phenomenon of recording practice, even if constructed as a narrative plot device. Another scene from Laurel Canyon illustrates one of the many possible conversations that can take place behind the control room glass. The exchange between producer and engineer is kept from the performer at the microphone, though played out in front of others present in the control room. The producer then adopts a strategy that covers any admission of weakness in the control room, placing the burden instead upon the performer.
Side of a highway, she just couldn't see things my way. Someday.
Fuck.
What?
I missed a punch. Fucked
Oh,
up.
Nikki, sweetheart. Could you just keep that to yourself next time, huh? Let it play through. Let me talk to him. Sorry. Yeah, it's not quite there, but that's the direction.
It's okay.
Yeah. Look, we'll finesse it in the mix. We'll make it work.
To further analyze this exchange, it may be useful to watch the scene again. The engineer stops the recording abruptly. The producer inquires as to the problem and the engineer confesses, "I missed the punch." Aware of the presence of others in the control room, the producer admonishes the engineer to keep it to himself. The one witness not privy to this conversation then becomes the target of redirected blame. To avoid revealing a weakness in the control room, the producer implies that the recording was stopped because of a fault in the performance. The superiority of the control room is further reinforced as the producer assures the performer, "Don't worry, we'll finesse it in the mix." While control room glass establishes divisions between performer and technicians, talkback systems create a bridge across this divide, albeit with one party, the technician, in control of this mechanism. In the earlier clips, the presence of the panauralcon was apparent to every participant because the inability to communicate orally was contrasted with the visual awareness made possible by the control room window. But this scene from the 1954 A Star is Born highlights another aspect of the panauralcon, the constant potential for surveillance that microphones introduce into the recording process. Having completed her contribution, the Judy Garland character rushes to the wings to meet her love interest played by James Mason. Recording of the orchestra and chorus continues without pause. Note, however, the action taking place in the control room to the rear of the soundstage. After gaining the attention of the stagehand, instructions are given through a talkback system unavailable to the performer. The stagehand maneuvers a microphone to eavesdrop on the conversation, with Garland and Mason blissfully unaware that someone is listening. The reactions of the control room technicians indicate that they are greatly enjoying the rewards of their clandestine exercise of power. The extent of this power is demonstrated as the scene progresses, when it is revealed to the audience and especially to the film characters that the conversation has not only been auditioned, it has been recorded.
Is what I'm here for.
How'd I sound?
Just adequate.
Best friend, severest critic department, huh?
What is it?
Listen to that arrangement Danny made for the chorus.
Oh, come on.
Though the scene is played for laughs, the initial reactions of the Garland and Mason characters indicates a supreme discomfort. For the technicians and orchestra musicians, the embarrassment of the stars is a source of amusement, and one might ascertain that this microphone trick is a means of taking stars down a notch, an attempt to rebalance the power structure of the Hollywood system. But beyond the realm of fictional film, Many performers are highly aware that their every utterance is being monitored, broadcast, and potentially recorded. This hyper-awareness contributes greatly to the atmosphere of tension and anxiety that many performers feel in the recording studio. Though scenes like this exaggerate elements of studio practice, such as the microphone surveillance of the panaural con, or the panopticon of the control room window, the power of technological mediation, they nonetheless represent very real aspects of recording practice. By communicating the phenomenon of experience, fictional narratives impart a truth that documentaries often fail to capture. Documentaries may present an accurate representation of process, but fictional narratives often communicate a more realistic illustration of practice. Audiences of Hollywood film depictions of recording studio practice may not learn what recording is, but they may have a real sense of what recording feels like. Perhaps truth is stronger in fiction.